This is going to be a short video called The Pastor's Corner. This is going to be the first one. Basically taking advantage of the coronavirus because we are not meeting as a pastor. One of the frustrations that pastors have is that we work very hard to study the Word and minister to our congregation and influence them. And with the busyness of today, more and more people are going to church less and less. So our flock comes less to hear the Word, to interact with us. And that's growing more and more common. So many pastors, every pastor I know, can be very frustrated with the influences that are out there in their congregation. TV, just there's all the different avenues, social media, internet, where our congregation, our flock is being bombarded with philosophies and influences out there. And it can be very, very frustrating when you pour your heart into people shepherding the flock. I'm reminded of what Jesus said about the pastor. A shepherd gives his life for the sheep. And he compares that to a hireling. And there's a lot of hirelings out there, especially online. It is so frustrating when you're trying to minister the word and influence people to godliness, to have other influences on YouTube pastors, or internet bloggers, and nothing against bloggers or people on the internet or on YouTube, but people that just throw a video out there with some false, crazy doctrine and cause us pastors to have fits because they're listening to YouTube videos, they're listening to someone else's counsel more than they're listening to ours. They only see us maybe once or twice a month, depending on how much they go to church. And even when they come to church faithfully, a couple times a week, there's still other influences where people are listening to other things, and people that are hirelings that really don't care for the soul. They don't pray for you. They don't invest in you. And they're certainly not going to visit you in the hospital if you get sick. They're not going to be there when you call upon them for counsel. They're not there to talk to you personally when you need them. They're probably not going to do your funeral when you die. Pastors labor hard only to be undermined by so many Bible or just authors of books, or internet, all these avenues. So this Pastor's Corner is going to be just my attempt to just, during the coronavirus, it's probably going to continue after that because it gives me a chance to communicate briefly with our church. Anyone else that wants to listen to this, fine, but don't let this be your substitute church. You need to have a pastor that you sit under. And if you do listen to this eventually or whatever, don't take my counsel and put it higher than your own pastor's that labors for you. And just respect your pastor. If there's something I say sometime in any of my streaming things on this website, which is our church website, YouTube page rather, then check it out with your pastor. Give your pastor the respect. Unless he's just been your pastor for 2 weeks and he just put up a shingle somewhere and he's a self-proclaimed pastor. He's never been ordained. He's never been trained. He's never had other godly men acknowledge God's call in his life. He's never been examined by a group of men. And there's so many out there that just, poof, I'm a pastor. They call themselves pastors and they're now internet pastors. And because of their charisma or whatever, they're now getting thousands or tens of thousands of people listening to their garbage, and nobody has called them on the carpet. And if they have, down in the YouTube section, they can just ignore it. They can delete it. There's not that accountability. So this Pastor's Corner is really just for the congregation of Bible Baptist Church in Upper Darby. And during this coronavirus, just for me to be able to influence you, just to talk to you, since we don't get to talk and I can't call every one of you every week. I'm here if you need me, as you know. and that's not someone that's listening in Arizona that has a pastor or doesn't have a church, I probably won't be there for you if you call me, because we're human beings and we can only do so much. But for the flock, this Pastor's Corner, this is just an introduction. This is going to be my means of communicating. My first one after this is just going to be about the coronavirus. There's so much stuff out there. People are freaking out. Of course, I preached a full message, which was like an hour on sermon audio. But I want to just follow that up with a few thoughts. 5-10 minutes is going to be the most that these Pastor's Corner things are on YouTube. I'm not promising that, but I'm going to try. So this is just the introduction.